And welcome back to the Red and Gold Zone. It is time for my favorite segment, our Keys to the Game. We're joined by Kylan Mills, and of course, we're joined by our Red and Gold insider, Grant Cohn. Now, Grant, this past week, the 49ers pretty much sealed their playoff fate with a loss to the Washington football team. Now, I personally don't think the Washington football team is all that good, and the 49ers lost to them. So what does that say about them?
It says they're not that good, Jason. They are not. Breaking news. This just in. No, they've lost 5 of 6. Their offense is pathetic. They can't block anyone. Their backup quarterback turns the ball over about twice a game. I mean, the Niners scored 14 points on themselves last week. So that's what you need to know about the Niners. They basically beat themselves eventually.
All right, Grant. Well, now that the playoff hopes are all but dead for the 49ers, what should fans expect these last few weeks of the season? I know we'll probably see guys who are injured continuing to just rest at this point. Is there even a reason to continue watching this team?
Well, for diehard fans, you'll get a peek to the future. You'll look to see, to evaluate players. I mean, you don't need to evaluate Debo Samuel, George Kittle, the good ones. The good ones should just stop playing and protect themselves and rest up for next year. But how about that right tackle, Mike McGlinchey? He needs to prove himself. Is he good enough to come back and start next year? Or do they need a new right tackle? And on and on. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo would be really nice if he could come back and they could see a little bit more of him because he's not proven. All the young guys, all the guys who have more to prove should go out and play because they're paid a lot of money. Anyone who's good and has a future with the team should just get a hat, a little clipboard, and hang out on the sideline.
Now, Grant, it's no secret that the Niners have had their fair share of injuries this year, just been a bad blow. But at what point is it that it was just bad luck? Or is it, the phrase, your best ability is your availability? Do the Niners rely on guys who are injury prone? Or is this more of a bad luck, next year we'll be fine?
Both. I mean, I think there's an element of bad luck and there's an element of the Niners creating their bad luck by consistently drafting, signing players who have extensive surgery history, not just injury histories, but multiple surgeries in their past, having players like that who fall apart. One more thing. I think there's something about the structure of their practices, particularly in training camp. Very soft training camps, no contact. I covered Jim Harbaugh. He had 3-hour practices with live tackling. I think to get ready for the impact and collisions of football, you need some collisions. And it seems like the Niners break down quickly early in the season, maybe because they're not quite ready for the violence of football.
One of the bright spots, let's talk about something positive, Brandon Ayuk this season. Grant, what do you think his potential is, and what do you think his ceiling is in this league? How good could he be?
Well, in 49ers terms, I think of him, he reminds me of Jerry Rice. Now, that's a lot, but the way he moves, his size, his potential, he reminds me of Jerry Rice. He's not going to be as good as Jerry Rice. That's the best football player of all time. But I really think Ayuk, if he continues on this trajectory and doesn't pull a Dante Pettis, that he will be the second best 49ers wide receiver of all time, better than Terrell Owens, who was great, but played a lot of his career in Dallas and Philly, and also dropped a lot of passes. I don't think Ayuk's going to have that issue. I think he could be that good.
Wow.
Yeah, he's really been very impressive. Now, there's still a game to be played. It feels like it doesn't really matter much, but they still have to go out and play it. The Dallas Cowboys, they're coming off of a big win in their standards to the Cincinnati Bengals. How does that matchup look to you on paper?
Well, Dallas's quarterback is Andy Dalton. He stinks. The Niners have a top 5 defense that plays extremely well anytime it's not going against a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Kyler Murray. Andy Dalton ain't like that. So the Niners defense should be great. Also, Dallas's defense stinks in the back end. They have Rashard Robinson at corner, who Niner fans might remember from like 2016. He was one of their picks and one of their starters. He's really bad. He's starting because other guys are hurt. So in that sense, the Niners should compete, but the Niners still have the worst pass protection in the league. They're going against Aldon Smith and DeMarcus Lawrence, who are terrific. I think this game's going to be a lot like the last game. The Niners are going to lose.
So one home game left for the Niners, Grant, in a couple of weeks. What are the odds that you think they return to Santa Clara? Or are they going to end up closing out the season in Arizona?
Maybe 50-50. I think the Niners come home. Maybe 51% that they come home. I don't think Santa Clara is trying to evict them for good. I just think that they're trying to, like the rest of the country, stop the spread during the holidays. And maybe the last game of the year against Seattle, the Niners will get home, will be able to come home and play in front of 0 fans. But at least they'll be able to sleep in their own beds, and that's nice. So I'm thinking week 17 against Seattle.
And one final question for you, Grant. I feel like we ask you this every year. The Rams are in the top spot now. Who wins the NFC West? It's like horses jockeying for position.
I'm sticking with the Rams. It's funny because the Rams can't beat the 49ers. And any 49er fan looks at that Rams team and is like, no, they're not good at all. They can't even beat us, and we stink. But no, they match up very well with the Seahawks. They match up very well with the Cardinals because they have Jalen Ramsey, and Ramsey can cover DK Metcalf, DeAndre Hopkins. I'm sticking with the Rams.
Awesome. There you have it. Rams going to win the division. As always, Grant, thank you so much. And those are our keys to the game.